Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. Now, today I am going to teach you how to make the most amazing seeded bagels. Plus, we're going to make a low-fat cream cheese with chive and garlic. So, first thing we need to do is get our bread dough on the mix first. So, I'm using Carr's flour today, which is like a strong bread flour. It's got a high protein level, which as a consequence means the gluten is developed really well, so it's perfect for bread making. So,
push your bowl a little bit this way, Pete.
Yep, that way.
There, yeah.
Yeah. So, in we go. 500 grams is kind of the starting point for most bread making. It makes a loaf of bread. You know, I have written the recipe out, I've tested it. It is all looking good. Now, when you make the sort of the American sort of New York style bagel, they put malt extract in, which isn't always that easy to get hold of. So I went Ovaltine, which is a whole new product to you, Emily, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've never come across it before, have you?
I've come across Ovaltine.
So Ovaltine's like a malt drink, so it's not chocolatey, but it's got those sort of characteristics. You can put malt extract in if you can get hold of it, but we can't get hold of it that easily here, so I'm just going to put a tablespoon in there, and it just makes a more authentic bagel. And if you wanted to blend your flours together, you could blend them quite easily. You could do maybe half white, half brown, mix it all together. You could add a bit of rye flour in there if you wanted to. It's kind of up to you. So I've got a sachet of yeast, so it's 7 grams. Or if you've got a tub, or sachets are just perfect for it, because that's exactly how much you need for a batch of flour. We'll give that a little blend together, and then I'm going to add my salt, because I don't like to put my salt and my yeast next to each other, because the salt will kill the yeast if you're not quick. You know, if the doorbell rang and you went off and you left it, the salt and the yeast together, that would be it. So we want 10 grams of salt. You made bagels before?
I haven't actually.
No?
You've scared me to make that. They look complicated.
Well, we're not going to boil them today. I'm going to show you an alternative way to make them. And there are certain bakeries that boil, and there are certain bakeries that just bake. And I don't think one or the other is correct, but realistically, at home, baking the bagels is better. Boiling them is hard to do. Right. So we just give that a little blend. So we've got our strong bread flour, bit of malt in there, got our yeast, got our salt. Now, you want 300 mils of water. Now, I'm just going to zero the scales and I'm going to weigh it. It's quite important that you've put the right amount of water in this bread dough because you want the right texture of the dough to be able to make the bagels. So grams and mils are exactly the same. Many scales will do mils as well these days because grams and mils are exactly the same. If you're in cups, I can't help you. I don't understand cups. All right, so just use grams. That's what the rest of the world do. Okay, right, is that all right, Emily?
Yeah.
She's not liking my scales in her shot. They're upsetting her, so we don't like to do that so early on in the show. Right, so we got our water in. Take your hand like this, like a claw motion. Can you see that? Put it into your bowl as if you're a KitchenAid and do that. And roll it around the bowl and just keep working it until you end up with a soft ball of dough.
Can you use a mixer with the dough hook?
Yeah, and actually, you know, I would use a mixer because you want it to take the strain, really. But if you've never made them before, I would urge you to make them by hand first. Then you know what it looks like and what it should feel like. And once you know, you will be able to make a much better judgment call when it's in the mixer. So, because it's quite warm in here today, I need a tiny bit more water. So can you see it's quite sort of grainy and mixed. It's not mixed together properly at all. Yeah. So we're going to add a little bit. And then remember, you can always add water. You can't take it away. So just add a tablespoon. and then mix it together. And when it comes together as a dough, like so, you can then transfer it onto your worktop. So if I move that bowl out of the way, and let's just, do you see how the malt's kind of made it that darker, slightly darker colour?
It almost looks like you've used like a wholemeal flour.
Yeah, yeah. So now, simple kneading technique. I'm left-handed, so I will lead with my left, but if you were right-handed, do exactly the opposite. So hold it with my right hand and push it away with my left. And then I'm just going to push it away and turn it over itself. So we thought it would be a nice idea just to sort of show you a sort of bread dough making 101, if you like, just to get a good proper dough. And then from that dough, we can make these amazing bagels today. But normally I would just sort of create a bit of a VT and show you how to do it, and then we'd get on with it. But we thought we'd show you from step by step on how to make a good bread dough, all right? So I've not added any extra flour, which is really important. So many people say to me, oh, I just get in such a mess, I had loads of flour and blah, blah, blah. Never add more flour when you're kneading, because you're going to change the dynamic of the recipe. It's really important that you knead it and develop it, and eventually the dough will change in its characteristics and it'll become more pliable, easier to handle, and you won't have affected the actual ratio of flour to yeast and things like that. It's like if you were making a cake, you wouldn't add more flour to it. You know, a Victoria sponge cake is very specific. Equal amounts of flour, eggs, sugar, butter, that sort of thing. So use your physical sort of kneading to change the texture of the dough. Don't add more flour. So as you're kneading and pushing away, sort of go up on your ankles and then go back down onto your toes and use your body weight to sort of knead it and stretch. It's going to take about 10 minutes, this, by hand, 5 minutes in a machine. Okay, so you can see the dough. I mean, my worktop is completely clear. No dough at all. It's easy to handle now. That's taken me 5 or 6 minutes to work that. Granted, I do it a lot, so it might take you 10 minutes to get that. But you just keep working it, and you can see that the dough is really smooth, really easy to handle. I'm not in a mess, and it is ready for its first prove. So what I'm going to do is pop it back into its bowl. We'll cover it, and we'll leave that to prove and double in size. Now, you could put it in the fridge overnight. If it's in the evening you're making it and you're going to make it tomorrow, you could put it in the fridge and let it prove overnight, and you will get an even better developed flavour. Now, I've made a dough and I've proved it. I did it first thing this morning, so I'll get that and I'll show you what it looks like. So here's my dough that I proved from this morning. So this has probably had about 6 hours in the fridge, and I just store it in these stainless steel containers. They've got rubber lids. You can get these at cookserveandenjoy.com. Means you don't have to use clean film. It's not using single-use plastic. They fit in the fridge brilliant. They're really, really good. Love them. Really useful. So let's just get the dough out. There we go. Right, little bit of flour, not much. And then we're just going to knock the air out. And the reason why we knock the air out at the beginning is we want a nice, even second prove. Okay, so otherwise it all ends up a bit wobbly, and it's just a good habit to get into when you're bread making. There's only one other bread, or two other breads that I know about that you wouldn't really knock the air out. One is focaccia, because you want big random air pockets, and ciabatta's the other one, because again you want big air pockets. You want to be able to mop up oil, but all the other breads you want to knock the air out, get that nice even final bake. So I'm just going to roll the dough out. Can we see it all right, Emily?
Yeah.
My silver locks aren't getting in your way, are they?
Not today.
Not today. So we want to roll this out to approximately a couple of centimetres thick, I think. Will do the job. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, now, instead of shaping our bagels, we're going to cut them. All right, so we want a little pile of flour there. And then first with the bigger cutter, give it a little cut and a wobble, and there you go. Okay. Try and get the maximum amount of cuts you can out of each one. First cut, always the best. Okay, so I've got 4 there. Let's lift those off. And then we'll take the smaller cutter, and then we're going to cut our middle hole out, all right? Put that with that, because we want to keep and make the maximum amount. I would always make more than you need. Pop them in the freezer for a day when you haven't got time to bake any fresh bread, and then you've got fresh bagels. Right, onto a nice non-stick baking tray. Just move them straight away, and then they're on. The less times you move your bagels,
Bring the tray forward, do you think?
the better shape you will get. So if I pop that there, is that all right? Yeah. So we'll pop that there. And what we're going to do is we're just going to leave them to prove up. But we'll take our remaining dough and we'll do exactly the same again. So a little bit of flour, just enough to allow us to move it about. So roll, turn, roll, turn. So that should do. And then we get our cutter. I think this is, I measured this the other day when I wrote the recipe, 9 centimetre cutter. And this is like 3 centimetre cutter. But whatever you've got. You could make really little mini bagels if you wanted to, or full size ones. Right. So we're gonna.
You could make these. Sorry, you could make these into like any flavors or anything. Like
Yeah,
that.
do you know what? You could make them into any flavour you like. We're going to do like a multi-seed one.
Yeah.
But you could do the whole everything bagel. That's like the New York one with cheese, onion, seeds, pop everything. You could do them plain. I was thinking about maybe grating a bit of cheese onto some and sprinkling the onion powder on. I think it would be really nice. Marmite, cheese and Marmite on the top. That'd be amazing.
Would you put the cheese on as soon as you put them into bake, or would you put them halfway through?
No, I personally, I would let them prove up. I'd egg wash them, cheese them, Marmite them, and let them prove, and then bake them, so that you get like almost cheese on toast type bagels. Ooh. Right, so I've got an egg here. Let's get them glazed up. I think it's better to egg wash them and glaze them before they prove, because when they prove, they're like little pillows, and you kind of, no matter how hard you try to carefully brush them, you'll end up sort of damaging. You might knock them, they might deflate. You know, whereas if you do it now, they will naturally just puff up. So we're just going to egg wash the top and then round the sides as well, so that they get a really nice, even glaze, because that's what you want with a bagel. You want them to sort of glaze up and look really nice and golden and shiny.
Is it the whole egg you're using, yeah?
Yeah, full egg, yeah. If you use an egg yolk only, it'll probably darken too quickly for the temperature that you bake bread at, which is like good 200 degrees. If you were at like maybe 180, you'd get away with it, you know, like pastry.
Yeah.
Whereas with bread, it'll look cooked, but it won't be underneath, you see. So just a beaten egg is fine.
Can you use milk?
You can. It doesn't go as nice and golden.
Yeah.
But you can. So you just need to spend a bit of time. Get plenty on, because this is what's going to stick the seeds on for you. So it's quite important that you spend a bit of time, get them all nice and glazed up. Right, last bagel. So on the top, around the edges. There we go. Right, now I have got a pot of seeds here. We have got, what have we got? We've got pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, poppy seeds. I've got some chia. I've got some linseeds in there, brown and golden. So they're all really good for you. Seeds are so good for you. Just get them in where you can into your diet. And then just put loads on, I think. Don't be shy. Put plenty on. Suppose you could do sweet cinnamon ones, couldn't you? If you wanted to. Cinnamon and raisin bagels are a thing, aren't they? You get a sweet bagel, can't you?
Yeah, they do all sorts now, don't they?
Yeah. I like the onion ones. especially with
Yeah,
Marmite.
onion ones are good.
Yeah, good savoury one. Make good cheese on toast. Right. Last one. And what we're going to do is we're going to let these prove now for about 45 minutes. And we want them just to puff up, and then they go into the oven 200 degrees for 20 minutes, okay? So while we're waiting for that, I'm just going to clear down, and then I'm going to show you how to make the most delicious, low-fat, garlicky, herby cream cheese. Okay, bagels baked. Look at these beauties. They are absolutely delicious. They're golden, fluffy, covered in seeds. Really good for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to toast one of those. But first, I'm going to show you how to make this delicious sort of low-fat cream cheese. Because, you know, you want a nice toasted bagel, bit of cream cheese on it. I think that's a perfect combination. So I've got 0% Greek yogurt, okay? You can use the full fat one if you want, it's up to you, but I was just trying to show you a way of making something that feels quite sort of indulgent and delicious and tasty, that's actually good for you at the same time. So, Greek yogurt is naturally strained and thickened. Let me show you how thick it is. Can you see that, Emily?
Yes, push it into the middle of the chopping board behind me, yeah.
It's a lot thicker than just your natural standard yogurt. What we're going to do is we're going to take a teaspoon of salt, maybe just a little bit more. We're going to mix that in to your yogurt. And what's going to happen is what they call osmosis. So the salt will draw the moisture out of this liquid. Okay, and I think the best way to do it to get the kind of nice cream cheese style texture is to pop it in a sieve like this. And then we're just going to leave it in the fridge overnight, and it will do its magic. And I've made one last night ready for today so I can show you. So what you need to do is just sort of level it out a bit and create a decent surface area. Can you see that all right, Emily? Yeah. So sort of as much surface area as I can, and that will kind of help it draw. Okay, so once that's done, cover it and pop it in the fridge. And I have got one here. So I covered this one in cling film so it didn't dry out at all. It didn't sort of form a crust or anything. But you'll be able to see, look how much water's come out of that. Yeah? And I haven't pressed it. That is a lot of liquid come out of there. So if I get a spoon, I can sort of almost show you the texture. I mean, it is quite, I can almost just scoop that out now, yeah? It's like cream cheese, okay? So let's get rid of that excess liquid. Have you had this before, Emily?
I don't know whether I have.
Have we done it before?
I'm not sure. Not with garlic and
I know we've done labneh, haven't we, and
yeah.
things like that. And this is sort of like the traditional labneh Middle Eastern dip, but just taking it a bit further so that you can have cream cheese sin-free-ish. Yeah. Now, remember, if you want any of our recipes, scan the QR code along the bottom. It will take you to petersidwell.com, our website, or you can download our free app, and that's got our recipes in. It's got all the programs in that we do every week. We've got a link to a shop called Cook, Serve and Enjoy, where all the equipment I use in my kitchen is located. So it's really easy for you to get. There's everything you could possibly wish for there. Okay, so just wash my hands. So that is our cream cheese. Now we just got to make it extra flavoursome. I'm also going to pop my bagel first into the toaster, okay? Because you want it nice and warm and toasty. So that's in. Now, when you're adding garlic to this, you're going to add it raw. So what it tastes like today won't be what it tastes like tomorrow, okay? Because the garlic will get stronger and more flavoursome. So you really don't need much in there. I would literally add 1/4 teaspoon to this, or 1/4 clove, sorry. So, how's your garlic tolerance, Emily?
Oh,
You good for it?
yeah.
You're good for it, are you?
I can't believe you're just putting the 1 clove in.
No, I'm not even putting that in.
Oh.
I might put half in, but I would go 1/4. But obviously it depends on the size of garlic clove that you got as well. Don't use pre-chopped garlic. It is my bugbear. Lazy garlic is not an option. Garlic powder is not an option. Fresh garlic. It's easy to use. It sits in the fridge. There's no excuse. Right. So that can go straight into our cream cheese. And then I've got some chives, which will give us a really nice oniony flavour. Did you know it's the smallest member of the onion family, the chive? Yep.
Well,
It's in the onion family.
who knew? Learn something new every day.
Absolutely. Okay, so we just squeeze it all together. And you can add as much or as little as you like, okay? It just gives you that nice sort of savoury, oniony flavour, and obviously lots of colour. Okay, it doesn't need any salt because we've done the salt. But I'm just going to add a little bit of pepper. Can you see that all right, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good? Okay. A nice little plate. Feel like the toaster's going to pop any second. Let's just give that a good mix. Now there, I'll let you into a little secret. This stirred through fresh pasta is delicious. Really, really good. Low in fat, big on flavour. Add a little bit of fresh chilli into it. Maybe some capers. Really good. Really, really good. Okay. And that's it. That's your low-fat cream cheese done. Let's get our bagel and we're good to go. Oh, look at the timing on that. Oh, you don't even need to edit that in, guys. Right. Get ready for this. Look at that. Delish. Cream cheese, low-fat cream cheese, delicious bagel. Oh, guys. We'll try this. You want to try a bit?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, you would not know that is low-fat cream cheese. So good. That is absolutely delicious. Now, if you want to know how to make my amazing, super easy seeded bagels with a low-fat cream cheese with chives and garlic, scan the QR code along the bottom or go to my website, petersidwell.com. You'll find it all there. Thank you very much for joining, and please do me a favour, share this video with your friends and family. Let them know what we're watching, what we're cooking this weekend, and get into your kitchen.